Uncle Dana has done it once again. He was back tonight with some more fight announcements. 3 for UFC 320 on October 4th at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, and then a big one, quite literally, in the main event of UFC 321, October 25th in Abu Dhabi. We're going to talk about all 4 of those announcements right here, right now. First, at UFC 320, the first of 2 pay-per-views in the month of October 2025 for the UFC. The main event will be the rematch between Magomed Ankalaev and Alex Pereira. This will be Ankalaev's first opportunity to defend his light heavyweight crown and for Alex Pereira to regain the throne that he once held. The champion Ankalaev has not lost a fight since his UFC debut on March 17th of 2018 to Paul Craig, and that happened with 1 second left to go in a fight that he was winning. And since then, he has been a part of 14 consecutive fights, not having tasted defeat a single time in any of those. And since his no contest with Johnny Walker in October of 2023, he finds himself on a 3-fight win streak, with the first being in the rematch with Johnny Walker, where he finished him in the second round. Then he would win a decision against Alexander Rakic and then take the title away from Alex Pereira after his insane reign in 2024, and that happened earlier this year in March at UFC 313, where Ankalaev would win a decision, where truly he would never allow Alex Pereira to get going in that fight, and he essentially controlled it from minute 1 to minute 25, even wobbling Alex Pereira a time or 2 on the feet. And prior to losing his title to Magomed Ankalaev in March of this year, Alex Pereira was 5-0 since moving up to the light heavyweight division, and it started in July of 2023 with a victory over former champion Jan Blachowicz. He would then win the championship against Jiri Prochazka at UFC 295 and defend it 3 times in 2024, all 3 victories by way of KO TKO against Jamal Hill, Jiri Prochazka, and Khalil Rountree Jr., who we'll be talking about here in just a second. And as I just stated, Alex Pereira was never really able to get going and showcase the striking skills that he has possessed, and I think that was due to the threat of the takedown that Ankalaev presented, because that was the literal narrative that the entire community was talking about heading into that main event. And then the aftermath, we really didn't see grappling whatsoever. It was a 25-minute kickboxing affair, and for Pereira's sake, when the takedown attempts were sprinkled in throughout the bout from Ankalaev, he was able to fend off essentially every single one of them. So now here in the rematch, I'm really looking forward to seeing if Pereira will still be as worried about the takedowns in the second fight, or if he will look to let the hands go more because of that built confidence from that first bout and keeping the fight on the feet. The co-main event will see arguably the greatest fighter in the world right now, Merab Dvalishvili, looking to defend his bantamweight title for the 3rd time, and this time it will be against Cory the Sandman Sandhagen, a fresh matchup for the bantamweight king and for the #1 contender. Merab, much like the champion in the main event, Magomed Ankalaev, has not lost since 2018. For the Machine, it was April 21st in a submission loss to Ricky Simone, and since then he has not looked back, but has only gotten stronger and crushed every single bit of his competition en route to becoming the champion and now turning into a dominant champion. Merab is on a 13-fight win streak, and he took the title off of Sean O'Malley at Noche UFC last September and has already defended it twice in 2025 with victories over Umar Nurmagomedov at UFC 311 to start the year, and then in the middle of the year in June, he defended against Sean O'Malley in a rematch, and this time he didn't let the judges' scorecards come into play as he finished Sean via submission. The resume that Merab has put together over the course of this 13-fight win streak, specifically dating back to September of 2021 in that comeback win and finish against Marlon Moraes, is second to none in this bantamweight division. It's arguable that he's already the greatest bantamweight of all time, and if he adds Cory Sandhagen to this insane resume that he has built, he's beginning to make his case as the GOAT in this weight class undeniable. And for Cory Sandhagen, he has won 4 of his last 5 bouts, with the lone loss coming to Umar Nurmagomedov last August in a 25-minute chess match in Abu Dhabi. The winner of that fight would go on to face Merab Dvalishvili, and of course we saw that it was Umar getting the nod on the scorecard, so Cory had to go back to the drawing board, and that happened in Des Moines, Iowa in May, where he would face Davison Figueiredo, the former flyweight champion, and not only would he dominate that fight and win that fight, but he would finish it in the second round. And the other wins over the course of these last 4 for Cory was against Rob Font, Marlon Vera, and Song Yadong, so he is beating essentially everyone in this division, and now he will finally get his opportunity opportunity to face Merab Dvalishvili for the first time, and it just so happens that in this fight, he can become the bantamweight champion. And lastly, for UFC 320 is an insane featured bout and a #1 contendership bout for the main event of the very same card, and that will be the former champion Jiri Prochazka, currently sitting at number 2, taking on the former title challenger and currently ranked number 4, Khalil Rountree Jr., in an absolute guaranteed banger. Jiri will enter this fight coming off of his victory at UFC 311 against Jamal Hill, former champion, where he would finish him in the 3rd round after a back-and-forth war. Not to mention, he will enter this fight after graduating from school, where he earned his degree in like every single samurai history, war, technique, strategy that he can find. So now he will look to take those skills that he learned in college and implement them here against the warhorse that is Khalil Rountree Jr., who will enter this fight also coming in off of a victory over Jamal Hill, and that came at UFC Baku in June, just a month ago at the time I'm recording this. And before that title fight loss against Alex Pereira in October at UFC 307 for Khalil Rountree, he had won 5 consecutive bouts, with 4 of those 5 by way of knockout, and now if he beats Jiri Prochazka, he will get his second opportunity to challenge for gold, whether that be against Alex Pereira or Magomed Ankalaev, we'll be able to find out on the very same evening. And last but not least, 3 weeks removed from UFC 320 is UFC 321 on October 25th in Abu Dhabi, where the fight night is taking place this upcoming weekend between Robert Whittaker and Renier de Ridder. Just a few months later, we will see a pay-per-view, and it will be headlined by the newly crowned heavyweight champion of the world, no longer interim, but the undisputed king, that is Tom Aspinall. And he will look to defend his undisputed title for the first time and make a second technical defense, because let us not forget, he defended an interim title while he was waiting for John Jones to say yes. And ultimately he never did, and that was against Curtis Blaydes last July, where he would finish him in 1 minute flat. And now for his first undisputed title defense, he will be taking on Ciryl Gane in a fresh matchup that has been years in the making, because these two have been rising up the ranks alongside one another. Tom has gone 3-0 since returning from blowing out his knee in his first fight with Curtis Blaydes in July of 2022, with victories over Marcin Tybura and Sergey Pavlovich, and of course the rematch with Blaydes that we already discussed, all 3 of them by first round knockout in less than 3.5 minutes combined. And Ciryl Gane will technically enter this fight on a 2-fight win streak, although I feel, as well as much of the MMA community, that he should have lost his most recent fight at UFC 310 in December of 2024 against Alexander Volkov, but instead he would earn a split decision that was borderline a robbery, and you know I don't like to throw around that R word on this channel very much. But regardless, a win is a win on the official record books, and prior to that, he finished Sergey Spivak via TKO in September of 2023, and at that night in France, Tom Aspinall was sitting front row ready to be called out by Ciryl Gane, and instead it never came to fruition, but now it's a full circle moment, and they will challenge one another with the heavyweight championship on the line in Abu Dhabi. So those are the 4 fight announcements, and 3 of them are title fights, and 1 of them is a #1 contendership title eliminator. Dana White never fails to deliver on these fight announcement videos that he does on his Instagram lives, and I want to get your thoughts on all of them down in the comments below, alongside your early predictions as well. If you enjoyed this quick fight announcement video, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel if you are new, because we are currently on the road to reaching 1,000 subscribers before the end of 2025, and any and all support is greatly appreciated. On top of my thoughts and opinions on MMA news and fight announcements such as these, I also break down and discuss the biggest and best fights and storylines heading into each weekend, and in the aftermath of every card, I recap the most meaningful results. You can also join the discussion and the community on social media at Verbal Spar MMA on X, Instagram, TikTok, as well as like the Facebook page Verbal Sparring MMA. And if you enjoy listening to podcast episodes, you can follow along on Spotify and Apple, where every Monday and Friday those are released there. Have a great week, and I will see you all in the next video.